And thank you all for joining us for our presentation on virtual hiring events, guidance for job developers. Again, my name is Dennis DeYoung, and I am a business relations specialist here at Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities. My primary role is assisting students and adults with disabilities in finding permanent employment with the state of Ohio through our vocational apprenticeship program, as well as advocating for the job seekers we serve with state agencies. Before working with OOD, I was the administrator of an agency that provided job development services to OOD participants throughout Ohio, and I was a job developer before that. Recognizing that you, the job developer, work so closely with and have the potential to greatly impact the success of the candidate in finding employment, I want to spend some time providing information directly to you to help you assist job seekers be successful during virtual hiring events. Before we get into the training, I want to point out a couple of resources that are available to you to help the candidate prepare. OOD has created a page with specific tools for preparing the virtual hiring event. There is also a link to this in the Q&A section. The first tool we have prepared is the candidate preparation video. The candidate preparation video provides an overview of the virtual hiring event. It also provides information on the technical aspects of joining a Teams meeting, the accommodations procedure, as well as reviewing the virtual hiring event resource guide. Which brings us to the second tool, the virtual hiring event resource guide. The resource guide gives a more detailed description of the virtual hiring event and includes the virtual interview tip sheet, the behavioral interview tip sheet, and virtual hiring event checklist. And finally, this presentation is being recorded and will be available for on-demand viewing as well. All of these resources can be accessed at ood.ohio.gov/tools. And I will be going over these resources in more detail a little later on in the presentation. At the end of the presentation, we have reserved some time for questions. Please use the question and answer section to post your questions anytime throughout the presentation so we can make sure to get them answered for you. I will also post my contact information for any questions that come up after the live presentation. So let's start by reviewing what virtual hiring events are. For many of you, this may be a bit of a review, but I think it's worth taking the time for those who have not supported one. Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities hosts virtual hiring events to connect qualified OOD participating job seekers with employers who are looking for talent. Virtual hiring events are a series of virtual interviews in Microsoft Teams meetings in 20-minute increments. The interviews will be held in morning and afternoon sessions on the day of the event with 10 employers per event. I think it is important to talk for a moment about the impact these virtual hiring events can have on the success of the job seekers we serve. The virtual hiring event has amazing potential for successful job placement, with up to 300 interviews with up to 50 employers with openings across the state. These virtual hiring events have already shown great success. Outcomes from the first round include 112 interviews for 92 job seekers with 25 employers, and this has resulted in several confirmed hires so far. Now, when I was a job developer, I always felt the area I had the potential to make the greatest impact was in helping candidates prepare for interviews. There are so many areas outside of job developers' control. Hiring needs, work history, transportation issues, and 1,000 other things I could do nothing about. But making sure the job seeker I was working with were ready for interviews was something I could control. As you all know, if you have been doing this for any period of time, getting an interview in itself can sometimes be a challenge. This is why when we get the opportunity, it is so critical to make sure the candidate we are working with is as prepared as possible. A great place to start is to review the virtual hiring event resource guide with the candidate. The virtual interview tip sheet has great information on setting up the environment, such as lighting and sound quality, making eye contact virtually, being aware of body language and facial expressions, as well as greeting the interview with a digital handshake. Now, behavioral-based interviews have become the standard for most organizations. So reviewing the behavioral interview tip sheet can help prepare the candidate to better be prepared for this type of interview. This will give the candidate the ability to start to formulate answers to behavioral-based questions using the STAR method. The resource guide covers the technical aspects of using Microsoft Teams, which I'm going to review with you later in this presentation. Review the accommodations process with the candidate and coordinate any accommodations with the candidate's OOD counselor. An OOD representative will coordinate any accommodations on a case-by-case basis with employer partners as necessary. And finally, review the virtual hiring event checklist with the candidate. This is a great tool to use throughout the preparation process to make sure nothing gets missed. Before preparing to answer interview questions, it is a good idea to spend a little time doing some groundwork with the candidate. Practice using the technology, make sure the candidate is comfortable with how to use Microsoft Teams and can join the meeting using the invite without issue. Discuss a backup plan in case of connectivity issues. Before the mock interview, it is a good idea to practice in the virtual environment. This might include practicing making eye contact and using the webcam, ensuring the environment is free of distractions, confirming the candidate understands what is appropriate to wear in a virtual interview, practicing placement of job developer if you will be present, and checking technology and Wi-Fi speed. Work with the candidate to research the employers and the position for which they are interviewing. During this preparation time, it is also a good idea to make sure that any job applications are complete, and it is also a good time to review the resume with the candidate and make sure they are comfortable answering questions about it. The most beneficial activity a job developer can do with a candidate to prepare for an interview is to conduct mock interviews. Since a mock interview should mirror the actual interview, it is important to prepare the candidate beforehand. Think of the mock interview as the final dress rehearsal for the interview. Using the tip sheets we talked about earlier, help the candidate develop answers to common interview questions. This should start with developing an elevator speech, which is used to answer the "tell me about yourself" question. The focus here should be on skills and experience related to the position for which they are interviewing. Next, review the job description to determine the skills needed to be successful in that position, and use that to develop likely behavioral-based questions. Then, using the STAR method template in the behavioral interview tip sheet, help the candidate write out answers. This will give the candidate something to practice with between preparation sessions. Also, review some traditional interview questions, such as what are your strengths and weaknesses? And finally, help the candidate prepare a few questions for the end of the interview when asked, what questions do you have about the job? It is important that all of the preparation is complete before the mock interview. The mock interview should be conducted as if it is a real interview. The candidate should understand that when you are in the middle of the mock interview, you will be acting as the employer. This is not the time to correct the candidate on their answers or give advice. You should plan time for a review of the mock interview directly after. If possible, consider having the mock interview done by a member of your agency that the candidate does not know. For example, another job developer. This is particularly helpful if you are planning on being in the actual virtual interview. This will also give the candidate the experience of interviewing with someone they do not know, which will help them gain experience interviewing in a more realistic environment. If you bring someone in, you should prepare them with a script and a list of questions. Take notes during the mock interview, and once it is complete, conduct a full review. Reviewing the mock interview when it is fresh will help to make sure nothing is missed. Now, more often than not, it will probably be a good idea to conduct 2 to 3 mock interviews to help the candidate become comfortable with the process. And this is in addition to the mock interviews conducted by OOD. Now, I know it is tempting for job developers to want to sit in on the interview. There can be a lot of great information learned about how the candidate answers questions and information about the company. It is important to remember, though, that we always want to provide services in the least intrusive way possible. So you should only sit in and interview if the candidate needs you to as a reasonable accommodation. Like any other reasonable accommodation during the virtual hiring event, that needs to be coordinated through the candidate's counselor. A significant part of being a job developer is modeling good behavior. For example, job developers should dress as if they are going to the interview. Also, be on time. Better yet, be 15 minutes early to the interview. If it is decided that you should attend the interview, ensure you are positioned in a way that the candidate can see you without turning his or her head from the camera. Notify the talent sourcing coordinator if the candidate will be late or not able to do the interview, so the employer can be notified ahead of time. Some things you will want to avoid if you are sitting in on an interview include avoiding asking the employer questions about pay and benefits and job carves during the first interview. It is usually most appropriate to wait until after an offer has been made for these items before these items are discussed. Avoid pointing out the candidate's weaknesses or personal issues, such as difficulties with previous employers, medication schedules, etc. Do not try to give the candidate answers during the interview. It is noticeable, even in a virtual environment. I am now going to move on to some technical aspects of using the Microsoft Teams platform, which is the platform used for the virtual hiring event. Remember, this information can also be found in the Virtual Hiring Resource Guide. Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities will be facilitating the virtual hiring event on the Microsoft Teams platform. There will be a staff member from OOD in each interview to help with any technical issues. Also, a member of the OOD Information Technology Department will be available to help with anything that staff members cannot handle. As long as the candidate is joining from a computer, they will not need to download the application and to set up an account. The candidate will be able to join Microsoft Teams by joining over the web as a guest. But if you download the Microsoft Teams, you may have more functionality, which may be beneficial if you are using an ASL interpreter. Also, if the candidate is joining from a mobile device, they will need to download the app. Let's start by looking at the process from a computer, and we will go through the process from a mobile device a little later on. Here we see a link that will be sent to the candidate and you, the job developer, if you are participating. This could either be an email or a calendar invite. Click on the link and it will bring you to the web page. Then you will have two choices: download the Windows app or join on the web instead. Click Join on the web instead. Microsoft suggests that you either use Microsoft Edge or Google Chrome. Your browser may ask if it's okay for Teams to use your mic and camera. Be sure to allow it so you'll be able to be seen and heard in your meeting. Enter your name and choose your audio and video settings. And when you're ready, hit Join Now. This will bring you into the meeting lobby. The OOD staff member will automatically be notified by Teams that you are in the lobby and will admit you to the interview when they are ready. Before we move further, I want to back up and go over the audio and video settings the candidate will need to choose. The first thing we want to do after entering our name, but before joining the call, is to make sure the video camera is turned on. To do this, move your cursor to the video icon and slide the switch over to the right. You will notice that your picture appears on the screen. Next, make sure you are not muted by looking at the microphone icon just to the right of the video icon. If it has a line through it, you are muted. Again, slide the switch over to the right to unmute. Also, if people in a meeting can't hear you, you might be muted, or you might have not configured your mic correctly. Just to the right of the microphone icon is the device settings button. Click that to open and you can select the speaker, microphone, and camera options you want. If you have trouble getting your microphone to work with a Mac, you may need to change one of your privacy settings. Here's how to check. First, open System Preferences, then select Security and Privacy. Third, under Privacy, choose the microphone on the left. And fourth, make sure Microsoft Teams is selected. Now, if you have an older computer and the speakers or microphone don't work so well, Teams will let you use your phone for audio. The call-in number, as well as the conference ID, is on the invitation. Or when you are joining the meeting, you can access it by clicking on the Use Phone Audio option, which also brings up the phone number and conference ID. This will also mute your video and microphone automatically, so you will want to go ahead and turn your video back on. While you are on the call, pressing *1 will play a description of the menu options that are available during a meeting, and pressing *6 will mute or unmute your microphone. This option may also be beneficial if you are working with a candidate who uses a Bluetooth hearing aid that they connect directly to their cell phone. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to use Teams for a smartphone. But first of all, I do want to point out that if you have a choice, it is better to use a computer for the virtual hiring event. It will be easier to look more professional and to control things like lighting and sound quality. But if you need to use a smartphone, you will need to do a little preparation beforehand. To join a meeting through your smartphone, the Microsoft Teams mobile app must be downloaded from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Meetings are available in iOS and Android now and will be available soon on Windows Phone. Here's what you can do if you're a meeting participant. Raise your hand to get the attention of the presenter. Pin the speaker and other users to the screen so they are visible to you during the meeting, even if someone else is speaking. Tap in the meeting for the meeting controls such as audio, video, and end call. And pinch and zoom in and out when someone is sharing their desktop. You can join a Teams meeting on the mobile app without an account. Here's how. In the meeting invite, select Join Microsoft Teams Meeting. If you don't already have the Teams mobile app, you'll be taken to the App Store to download it. Download the app and open it right from the App Store page. As before, Teams will ask if it's okay to use your mic. Be sure to allow it so others in the meeting will be able to hear you. Next, you'll be given two options for joining your meeting. Join as a guest or sign in and join. You'll want to choose Join as a guest. Type in your name and tap Join Meeting. Once you're in the meeting, you can turn your video or mic on and off by tapping the center of your screen to show the meeting controls. Tap again to hide them. If you are working with a candidate that does not have an internet connection, they can still call into the virtual hiring event. On the invite the candidate receives from OOD, there will be a phone number and a conference ID in the meeting invite. Dial the number to join and enter the conference ID when prompted. Now, the number on your invitation may not be local to you. If it is not, select local numbers to find one that is. And also remember, OOD will have staff available to help with any technical issues you are having the day of the event. If you will be assisting the candidates in multiple interviews or assisting multiple candidates, it is important that you log into each interview using the specific invite. And after each interview, you should log out of Teams. Now, this is true even if you are in back-to-back interviews with the same employer assisting different candidates. This will give the employers a chance to reset for the next interview. When the interview is over, make sure the candidate sends a follow-up thank you note. It is appropriate for this to be done in an email. Review the interview with the candidate. Remember that all interviews are successes. This should be a positive review, but do touch on areas for improvement. And of course, you will want to inform the talent sourcing coordinator and the vocational rehabilitation counselor if the candidate receives a job offer. Okay, I now want to take a few minutes to review any questions that have come in from today's presentation.
Hi, Dennis. There are no questions currently in the Q&A box.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody. As always, if you do have specific questions for the candidates, reach out to the talent sourcing coordinators or the vocational rehabilitation counselors. And if you have any technical questions or need further assistance, please do not hesitate to reach out to me directly. I want to thank all of you for attending today's presentation, but still more importantly, I want to thank you all for the great and vital work that you do to help OOD job seekers to find meaningful employment. You are truly making a difference in the lives of Ohioans with disabilities. Thank you.